Hello friends, welcome back to Online Web Tutorials. Today we're going to discuss one of the core concepts of JavaScript, loops. So let's get started. If you're new to this channel, don't forget to check out our other videos in the playlist. In programming, a loop allows us to repeat a set of instructions multiple times. Instead of writing the same code over and over again, we can use loops to repeat code based on a condition. JavaScript supports different kinds of loops. For loop, for of loop, while loop, do while loop. In this tutorial, we are going to discuss only the for loop, for in loop, and for of loop. Suppose we want to print hello world 5 times. We could write it manually one by one like this. It's easy, right? But if I want to print it 100 times or even 1000 times, manually writing it isn't practical. This is where loops come in handy. Instead of manually writing the print statement repeatedly, we can use a loop to automate the task and execute it based on the given condition. JavaScript for loop. Let's start with the most commonly used loop, the for loop. Here's the basic structure of a for loop. The basic syntax of a for loop is as follows. You start with for followed by parentheses. Inside the parentheses, the first part is initialization, the second part is the stopping condition, and the third part is the increment or decrement update. Inside the curly braces, we write the code that we want to execute. Let I equal to 0 is initialization. This is where we set the starting point. In this case, I starts at 0. I less than 5 is the loop stopping condition. The loop will keep running as long as this condition is true. Here, the loop will continue until I is no longer less than 5. I++ increment. This part increases I by 1 each time the loop runs. You can also decrease it using I minus minus. This loop will print the hello world 5 times to the console. And here's what happens. It checks the condition if I is less than 5. If it is, it runs the code inside the curly braces. Then it increments I and repeats the process until I reaches 5 and the loop stops. JavaScript for in loop. For in loop is used to iterate over the properties of an object. It only iterates over keys of an object. The basic syntax of a for in loop is as follows. You start with for followed by parentheses. Inside the parentheses, the first part is key. Key represents the property name or index of the object you're looping through. The second part is object or array. Inside the curly braces, we write the code that we want to execute. Let obj equal to curly braces, name colon John, age colon 20, course colon JavaScript. For parentheses, let key. I'm calling it as key. You can use any other name. In obj, key plus quotes colon plus obj square bracket key. This loop will output each property and its value. The for in loop will go through each property key of the object. Inside the loop, key will hold the property name and object bracket key bracket will give us the corresponding value for each property. JavaScript for of loop. The for of loop is used to iterate over iterable objects like arrays, strings, or sets. It directly iterates the value and has more concise syntax than for loop. Syntax for the for of loop is, for parentheses, let value of iterable, or we can say object name. Let message equal to hello world. For let value of message. console.log value. This loop will output each character in the string. I hope you find this helpful.